3, 2, 1. All right, hello. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Let me start us out here on Instagram too. Yep, all right, here we are. And so thank you so much for being here with me. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure and honor to be with you here. Let me move my mouse a little bit closer so I can manage myself. So today we're talking about how can I make USCIS work on delayed cases, all right? Delays in USCIS are very, very common right now and very frustrating for a lot of people. And so what can we do about it? And I want to talk about that process. Hello to everyone joining me right now on YouTube. Hello to everyone on Facebook and on TikTok and on Instagram. Thank you all so much for being here, all right? And welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live, all right? So here at the Empowered Immigrant Live, we're here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives, all right? And today our theme is how can I make USCIS work on my delayed case, all right? My question for you is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Is this your year to come out of the shadows, to apply, to go for it? Because if so, I encourage you to do it, and I'd love to help you with it, all right? My law firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We would love for your case to be one of them, all right? And thank you to everyone who asked their questions ahead of time. I have received a few questions, and if you have a question as I'm talking today, hey, just send it over, all right? And we will first, as always, discuss this topic in English, and then we'll do it in Spanish. And hello to the folks I see joining us on Instagram. Thank you for that. And hello again, everyone on every platform. It is the 6th of October of 2022, and here we are, all right? So thank you so much. Before we get into the legal topic, where we talk about the steps that you can take to cause movement on a delayed immigration case. Before we get into the topic, I want to give a empowerment tip, all right? This is the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. I like the topic of empowerment, and so I want to give an empowerment tip. And today I want that tip to be about money. So let's talk about money a little bit today. People often say the words, quote unquote, it takes money to make money. Have you ever heard that phrase before? It takes money to make money. And my question for you is, have you ever considered that statement? Like, who was it that was saying that statement? Because I believe that statement, it takes money to make money, I believe that statement is an excuse. I believe that statement is somebody's excuse for why they don't have money. Oh, it just takes money to make money. If you don't have money, you can't make it. All right? And I want to challenge people to think about that a little bit. All right? I started 11, 12 years ago with no money. All right? I didn't start with nothing. I had a really great education, and I also had a lot of self-confidence, self-esteem. Like I knew I could figure my way out in the world starting a new business, but I literally started with $0 in the bank. Okay? And student loans to pay. So I started in debt, like with negative dollars. All right? And yeah, there's been a lot of struggles along the way, and it hasn't been easy, and it's been a process. But let me tell you, I'm very grateful and happy to say that right now I'm much better off financially than I ever was in the past. And I'm not where I intend to be, and I'm certainly not where I will be 5, 10 years in the future, because I have targets and goals and I know where I'm going. but I am so much better off than where I was, and I started with nothing. All right? And so that question, does it take money to make money? Does it? I mean, money could help, but the answer is no, it doesn't. All right? So then wait a second. What does it take to make money, everybody? What do you think? What do you think? I'll tell you. I'll tell you what I think. You can agree or disagree, but I'll tell you what I think. I think it takes action to make money. All right? I think it takes courage to make money. I think it takes being willing to put yourself out there and ask for what you want to make money. I think it takes commitment and discipline to make money. That's what I think. Those are the things that I think actually are required. And if you ask me, action, courage, willingness, all right? Willingness to ask for what you want, commitment. Those are the things that are required for success in every area of your life, not just financial success, all right? Those are also what are required to win an immigration case. Those are also what are required to really propel yourself and to be an empowered human being, okay? Something to think about, something to think about. Thank you for listening. I hope that was useful, helpful. If it was, hey, let me know. Leave me a comment, all right? I hope that was helpful. So, all right, now I want to switch gears. I want to talk about the law. I want to talk about immigration processes that are so delayed right now. There's over 1 million cases in the backlog right now, more than ever in U.S. history. USCIS is starting to speed up, though, all right? They are starting to work through it. But cases are horribly delayed right now. And so how can you make USCIS work on a delayed case? All right? So first step, everybody, first step, and maybe this is step 0, even before getting into it, you've got to be aware that it's not just you. It's like every case is delayed right now. Every case is delayed right now. So just because it feels like it's taking a really long time, it doesn't mean that your case is outside of normal processing times. It doesn't mean that your lawyer's sleeping on the job. It doesn't mean that there's a problem with how your case was done. All right? Every case is delayed right now. It is slower now than it used to be. Okay? Just want to be clear about that. And then getting into it, like what do you do? Step 1 really is to check whether or not your case is outside of normal processing times. How do you do that? Go to uscis.gov, really read it, all right? Really click on where it says check my case status, all right? Compare the processing times to your typical case type and your case location. What location is my case at? Look on your receipt notice, all right? Look on your receipt notice, or if you received a transfer notice, look there, all right? Look at the processing times as posted on uscis.gov. They tell you there when a case is quote-unquote outside of normal processing times. They tell you when the first date is for a case to be able to submit an inquiry. All right? So that's step 1. Step 2 is if your case is one of those that really is outside of normal processing times, start with your inquiry process. All right? This is the way our office does it. Start with the inquiry process. Call the 1-800 number. All right? In our office, we spend hours on the phone each week calling the government, submitting inquiries on cases. This is part of the service we provide. Okay? That's step 2 of the process. Step 3 is what we call an ombudsman request. Okay? An ombudsman request, what is that? You know, search up DHS Form 7001. All right? DHS Form 7001. That's the form to fill out the DHS ombudsman request. What's the ombudsman? Basically, they're not part of USCIS. They're like a separate government agency whose job is to hold USCIS accountable and to address issues that come up within USCIS. All right? And so we can use that to our advantage, and we can go in and we can do a ombudsman request, have your lawyer help you with that. And in my experience, sometimes that makes a huge difference. When your case is outside of normal processing, do 2 inquiries, do an ombudsman request. Hopefully that'll resolve the issue. Okay? Normally that ombudsman request really does help. And sometimes you got to get more involved than that. All right? Step four is ask your congressional official to jump in. All right? That's like getting pretty serious. That's getting pretty serious. Sometimes, and different Congress people are more willing and less willing to help with this. Okay? But sometimes you can reach out to a congressional official, ask them to assist you and to get that case moving. Sometimes they're willing to help, sometimes they're not, depending on the district, what part of the country, and their political opinion and beliefs about immigration, all right? Which is very, very divided, right? So in my office, we try to avoid that where we can, but sometimes we do it, all right? Sometimes we do it. And it is a possible solution. It's a request, at least, all right? Step 5 is a lawsuit. In certain instances, and normally when there are extreme delays happening, all right, you can file what's called a mandamus action. You can actually sue the government, all right? You can sue USCIS for the delay. We call it a mandamus action. It's an action in federal court. What you're doing is you're asking the federal court to compel, to make USCIS make a decision, all right? In order to get that granted, you've got to show there's an unreasonable delay, and you've got to show that it's causing harm, all right? It's actually harming the applicant, and which is sometimes fairly straightforward to show, right? These delays, especially if it's years and years and years outside of processing times, sometimes that's pretty easy to show. Keeping your family separated, all that, it can be very frustrating. So the mandamus lawsuit, it can trigger and force the USCIS to take action on the case, but what a mandamus lawsuit does not do is it doesn't order USCIS to rule in any particular way on the case, just to be clear, all right? So you might get a decision, and that decision might not be the outcome you were hoping for, all right? So, you might lose your case doing that. You might win also, right? But what you're doing is you are asking the federal court to compel them, to force USCIS to make a decision. Those are the 5 levels of escalation in a delayed case. If your case is way outside of normal processing times, and that's what I wanted to go over with you today. So if you're in that situation, if you have a case that's been pending for years and it's way outside of normal processing times, and if you want some help with it, hey, please feel free to give us a call, all right? We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to see what we could do to help you to get your case back on track, or to see at least, sometimes we've got to review all the records first, make sure everything was done properly first. But sometimes we can jump in with some of these more serious steps to cause a decision in your immigration case. Got it? All right. Now you know. Now you know. Thank you for being with me. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to get into your questions. So let's see if I can do that. The first question that I received here this morning comes from Carla. Carla, you say, my mom is 82 and ill. Sorry to hear that. My mom is 82 and ill. I would love for her to attend my wedding. Is there any way to expedite our K-1 visa? We sent in our application in June 2022. Is there a way to expedite your visa? You can request expedited processing, but it's completely in the discretion of the agency that has it. All right? So everything that I'm talking about today of how do we compel, how do we force USCIS to take action on a delayed case, that stuff does not apply to an expedite request. Expedited requests are not easy to get approved. And if there's like, I don't know, maybe if you could show that your mother is like dying, I mean, I don't know. We'd love to look at your case, Carla. We could do a consultation and discuss it in more depth. In my experience, it's going to be pretty tough. All right, it's going to be pretty tough to cause USCIS to jump your petition to the front of the line. It's going to be pretty tough. All right, you got to know it. Okay, and I'd love to do a consult. We could discuss it in more depth if you need that, yeah, feel free to reach out. Okay. So let's see, Robuste, I received your question here. Hi, I am a TPS applicant since August 23rd, 2021. I did my fingerprints in November 21, and I haven't received anything after this from USCIS. They haven't given me a response on my case. They didn't take any decision on my case. I called, I made a case inquiry, still no decision. How can I make USCIS make a decision on my case? Okay, awesome. Robuste, I'm sorry to hear that that's happening, and give us a call. We would love to talk that through with you. Have you tried an ombudsman request? You said you've done an inquiry. Let's start with the ombudsman request. If that doesn't work, get congressional official involved. If that still doesn't work, potentially a federal court lawsuit. But what I would say is TPS, I mean, it'd be hard, I think, to get that issue resolved in front of federal court. But, we could look at that. All right, we could look at that. I think that an ombudsman request and a congressional inquiry should be useful tools, and those are your best next steps. Okay? The next question I see here comes from Akbet. Akbet, hello, and thank you for being here. You say, I have my master hearing coming up October 24th at the Asylum office in San Francisco. Okay. Little point of clarification. If you're at the Asylum office, it is not a master calendar hearing. And if you're at a master calendar hearing, it is not the Asylum office. Those two things do not go together. Okay? The Asylum office, you'll have an asylum interview. It's not a hearing in court. And if you're in court already, it's not at the Asylum office. You're in front of a judge. Okay? So that's one point of clarification. And you say you've got your master hearing coming up October 24th. I need some help on some representation in court. Please contact me for this matter. Great. Send me your phone number, Akbet, and my team will follow up with you today. We would love to talk with you. All right? We handle asylum cases in immigration court all the time. We would love to help you. And thank you for reaching out. All right, Norma, I see your question. It's in Spanish. I'll translate it here, and then I'll answer it more in depth in our Spanish episode in just a moment. You say, my son has a misdemeanor, and he wants to know, or I want to know, quería saber, I want to know if he can, or if I can, or if we can help him to clean his record so that he could apply for a residence card or work permit and work on his case so that we can get some help on his immigration status. So awesome. Thank you, Norma, for asking that question. You are not alone in that. First step there is let's examine the misdemeanor record. Let's look at it carefully. Sometimes you might be eligible for a green card without going through the whole process of doing stuff in criminal court. Sometimes he can do it with immigration with a waiver. All right. Sometimes he doesn't even need a waiver, depending on what it was. And sometimes the strategy to navigate that is working hand in hand, immigration lawyer and criminal defense attorney, to really vacate or clean out the criminal record so that we can help him. Okay? I see a question that came in from Angela. Angela, hello. You say, I have TPS. Is it possible to have a parole document? Yes, it is. All right. Advanced parole is a travel document, and people with TPS do have the right to apply for it. That is a good strategy. It does enable you, it enables a person to leave the U.S. and re-enter. Talk to your lawyer first, all right, because there's not a guarantee of re-enter. But as long as you don't have any arrests or problems or inadmissibility issues, you should be okay. And the risks are lower if you're not in immigration court. So I hope that you're not in immigration court. But yes, let's talk it over. We'd love to help you with that. The next question I have is Sona. Sona, you say your I-751 has been pending since 2019. And what can I do to have it interview fast? Okay, that sounds to me like it, I guess I'd have to look on USCIS to make sure, but it sounds to me like it really is outside of normal processing times. And it makes me wonder what may have happened there. Like, is it a joint I-751 with you and your spouse, or is it a I-751 waiver where the marriage is no longer together? We could do the process like I mentioned, inquiries first, ombudsman request, Congress inquiry, and then theoretically a federal court lawsuit. But let's take it one step at a time. What I would say is let's really look at your case carefully. Let's see what has maybe caused the delays within the case, and then let's start all that process. All right? Sona, thank you for asking that. Please feel free to give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it. All right? So the next question is the last question I see here is from Eduardo. You say, good morning. I came with asylum, married a U.S. citizen. Is there a way a lawyer can prove that I came with asylum? Is there a way a lawyer can prove I came with asylum? Sort of. All right? Normally, a person doesn't come, quote unquote, come with asylum. Maybe you came as a refugee with refugee status already in your passport. In that case, you would show your passport. Or maybe you turned yourself in filing for asylum. The way to do it is to request what we call FOIAs. All right? And what we want to do is we want to look for FOIAs, look for the immigration record, and determine whether or not you were inspected and admitted or paroled into the United States. And sometimes, when you come in and plea asylum, sometimes the Border Patrol officials will be nice enough to parole you in to allow you to do that. Sometimes they don't, all right? And sometimes they put you into expedited removal processes, and then you do defensive asylum. But yeah, the way to do it is to run the FOIAs, review the records, study them, and figure out, is there a parole document there that you could use to adjust status through your U.S. citizen spouse? Okay? All right. All right, I see a question here, and this will be my last one because I got to get into the Spanish episode. It comes from Henry. Henry, hello. Thank you for asking your question. You say, good morning. How long does the U visa process take? All right. This is a huge question, and I've got a whole video explaining the U visa process. But right now, the way it works is, and thank you for asking this, Henry. I love it. So the way it works is, the government is only allowed to adjudicate 10,000 U visas every year, okay? And right now, there's 150,000 U visas that are pending. And so doing the math, right, just looking at that, 150,000 but 10,000 per year, 150,000 divided by 10,000 per year is? The answer is it takes 15 years if you were to file your case today. Did you know that? Did everybody know that? Everybody with a U visa, if you file your case today, it'll take 15 years. Now, the question for you, though, Henry, is when did you file your case? Because if you filed it 3 years ago, maybe there were just 100,000 pending back then, and then it would take 10 years. If you filed it if you filed it 4 years ago, then maybe there was just, 80,000 or 40,000 cases pending back then. So maybe it's just 8 or 4 years left waiting for that case to get adjudicated. All right? Anyway, so we got to look at it. that's the way to know. That's the way to analyze how long does a U visa process take. Look at the filing date and look at how many were pending on the day you filed to figure out where your place in line is. And then we can calculate by dividing by 10,000 cases how long your process will take. Okay? And the government has allowed for people to apply for a work permit, all right, after typically 4 years. And hopefully that time will decrease. Okay? Henry, I see, 2020, I got it. It's going to be pending a long time. All right? There were a lot of U visas that were filed and pending well before then. So it's probably going to be 2030 before you have a decision on your case. All right? At least. All right? So you got to be aware of that. But you'll probably get a work permit somewhere around 2023, 2024 is my guess. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Really, thank you all so much for being here. And Henry, oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for asking your question. Thank you for being here. And if you want like a real analysis as to whether or not your U visa was done well, we'd love to do that. We do second opinions and really examine the strengths of a USCIS filing. We do that stuff all the time. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. That's all we have time for today. If you still have a question that I haven't answered, please still send it over. All right, I'd love to answer it. And the best way to see those answers is to subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right, and click the notifications bell. We'll get you additional legal updates, news. All right. And if you have an immigration case, hey, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. And that's really it for my episode today. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And I will see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.